Dr. Dalbir and our Mr. Singh for joining us and accepting our invitation to release or speak on this book. And I want to thank in particular Ashish also for doing all the publisher himself and his brother for accepting for immediately. In fact, the moment he told me about the book, I immediately accepted and I said it's worth giving it in the club. The format in our function will be we will be having introduction of the three distinguished speakers by Secretary Mr. Prakash, and then we will give the floor for each one to speak. The author will speak 10 to 15 minutes, and the co-author and will be friends will be speaking for 10 minutes. Then we'll open the floor for question and answer. And I'll hand over the mic to Prakash. But before that, I just wanted to say that I found the book very interesting. I read it, and it is quite interesting for those who cover the geopolitical changes in South Asia, the new warfares of the terrorist organizations. It may sound like it is more focused on Pakistan, but I would say that it is more to read on global terrorism as well. So that will give you a better vision to see the new warfares and how to apply it. But it is a good scholar book, and I recommend everybody should have a copy of it. Mr. Prakash.
Thank you, Dr. Awad. And I welcome all our three distinguished guests. Let me begin with, let me begin with Colonel Ajay Singh, who is an alumni of St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. Bombay, revenge habit, and I think that is much better. Anyway, Mumbai, where he graduated with honors in English literature. He joined the army in 1981, and during his career, he has commanded an armored regiment, held major staff and instructional appointments, and served in every part of the country and overseas. After his retirement or release from the army, he has authored 7 books, published over 200 articles. The books include The Battles That Shaped Indian History, A Spectrum of Modern Warfare, Through Orphaned Eyes, which is a historical novel that covers the story of India and Pakistan. And then another book named On India's Battlefields, which covers 42 of India's battles and which has been held as the Bible of Indian military history. He also has a collection of short stories, The Final Draft, that was awarded the Rabindranath Tagore International Award for Art and Literature in 2021. And his book, The Russia-Ukraine War, The Conflict and the Global Impact, was published in 2022. And his latest book is Ukraine, Gaza, Taiwan, A World at War, covering conflicts across the globe, which was released by the Chief of Defense Staff in February 2024. And he has been awarded the Star Award for Excellence 2023 and Bharat Literary Award 2024 for his contribution to the literature. Really a man of multi-dimensions. Thank you.
Thank you for a lavish introduction.
And then Dr. Dalbir Singh, who is a veteran of 11 Gorkha Rifles. He has participated in counter-insurgency operations from 1968-70, during which he had the privilege to lead 2 missions to capture Lal Denga, the chief of the underground army in Mizoram. And he has also fought the 1971 war with Pakistan in the western sector. Now a prominent public figure, he has been the National Secretary of Indian National Congress in charge of northeastern states, having handled challenging political assignments like formulation of policy, strategy and planning, coordination of election campaigns also, and other major political programs of the party. But apart from his involvement with politics, he also has been a senior advisor of the Forum of Federation Canada, It's interesting, sir. They have published one of my monographs. Forum of Federations. You mean to Rupak? Rupak, who I know him very well. Then he is a member of Tata Trust and member governing body Universal Business School. He is co-chairman with the Eurasian People's Assembly and chairman One Globe Forum, a think tank with Wharton and Cambridge as knowledge partners and founder president. Then Policymaker Forum on Public Health, supported by 42 parliamentarians cutting across party lines. He has represented India at the United Nations in 2018 and 2023 and has led delegations to the European Union, WHO, IPSA summit, that is India, Brazil, South Africa summit, among others. So welcome, sir. And finally, the most important happens to be Lieutenant General Shoking Chauhan, the author of this book. General is a retired senior military commander with extensive operational experience in counterinsurgency and sub-conventional warfare, particularly in Jammu and Kashmir. Over a long career, he commanded troops in some of India's most demanding conflict environments, where strategic doctrine translated directly into operational consequence. His command appointments included leadership of major formations in Kashmir, Ladakh, and Northeast, as well as India's oldest, largest strike corps and Assam Rifles. Beyond command, he has served at the apex level in the Ministries of Defense and Home Affairs. He has worked in long-term strategic planning and represented India as defense attaché in Nepal during his period of profound political and security transition. Post-retirement, he has been entrusted with reviving sensitive peace process in Northeast as chairman of Ceasefire Monitoring Group. So, sir, on behalf of the FCC, I will conclude. And thank
you. May I request Major Dalbir to please say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. At the very outset, I would like to compliment General Shokin Chauhan for his very scholarly pursuit, seminal work, and incredible contribution to very strategic literature. I think he's one of the few general officers who's had, I can't say courage, but who has the authority to be so gutsy to delve into an area of this part of national security. Our association goes back decades. I've had the privilege to serve with his father. And like my colleague has introduced me already, that I've been with 11 Gurkha Rifles. I served army for a very brief span of 13 years, out of which I spent nearly 3.5 years in Mizoram, where the peak of insurgency. And a small little incident where Lal Denga was then. I did 2 missions, and both the times he escaped. And the second time, he didn't. In fact, he arrived 3 hours earlier, and because their information system was so beautiful, we didn't even have maps of that area when there in 68, 69. And but amazing story that I said is Zoram Thanga. When I was in charge of Northern East State, he was sitting on my right. He was then the chief minister, and he's also been chief minister 2 terms. And we had a very interesting conversation on Mizoram. And only one thing I'd like to mention there, I asked him, and now you're the chief minister, you were deputy of the underground army, which days were better? He said, sir, those days were better. He said, because in politics, I do not know who my enemy is. When we were there, we know exactly only security forces are enemy. Anyway, that was in a lighter way. But I'm also fortunate to have been in charge of northeastern states during my post-army career for a period of almost 8 to 9 years, and during which I've had enormous opportunity to get into intricacies of dynamics of insurgency, regional security, because we used to interact with the Home Minister and the Chief Minister of that state, and I had good interaction with almost all Chief Ministers of Northeastern states during that era. Well, I've spent a few nights trying to figure out the central narrative of this book, and the concept of Jihad-Tech complex obviously refers to growing fusion of extreme geological network with advanced technologies. The core argument is that Pakistan's future warfare strategy may increasingly combine traditional jihad proxies with modern technological capabilities. artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, drones, social media, influence operations, surveillance system, and digital propaganda. And General Chauhan has rightly suggested that future conflicts may not rely solely on military force, but a blend of various, state power, proxy groups, cyber tools, information warfare, emerging technologies. Pakistan has historically relied on asymmetric warfare to offset India's very conventional military superiority, and it uses non-state actors, proxy organizations as force multipliers. And also, thanks to China's collusive support now, it's so blatant. It has been blatant for many years, and we've seen that in the recent operation also. And now we very, obviously confront a very formidable threat with China supplying the systems and then Pakistan providing the delivery mechanisms through all these jihadists. And since technological advances in cyberspace and social media have made the radicalization process very effective and very sophisticated, the Jihad-Tech threat becomes very menacing today. The traditional model of supporting proxy groups could well evolve into a technology-enabled hybrid warfare, where digital tools amplify the reach and effectiveness of ideological narrative, including the impact of Wahhabi movement. And we have seen how Wahhabi movement has impacted almost the entire Islamic world, and it has had its own share of manifestation in what Pakistan is doing to us. Convergence of jihadist technology and IT is now a reality that cannot be wished away. Technology is no longer neutral. It can be used to spread ideological belief systems, to recruit spotters online, coordinate concept operation across borders, conduct cyber attacks, and raise funds through various digital platforms. All future extremist movements may become more decentralized, more resilient, because technology will allow them to obviously operate without large physical infrastructure. For example, encrypted messaging applications, dark web communication channels, cryptocurrency, funding, AI generated propaganda content. Cyber warfare will be used as strategic weapon. Conflicts may occur also in cyberspace. And some of the most potential targets may include government databases, financial systems, power grids, transportation networks, military communication system. Because cyber warfare will provide a very low cost, high impact method to disrupt adversaries without crossing the traditional military threshold. Because of advantages, obviously, like difficult attribution, low financial costs, psychological impact, and strategic disruption. AI could transform propaganda and influence operations to enable automated social media campaigns, create deep fake videos, AI generated narratives, even behavioral targeting. Future warfare will also focus heavily in controlling information and public perception rather than merely capturing territory by creating confusion, influencing public opinion, undermining trust in institutions, and also in polarizing societies at large. Drone warfare, autonomous systems have changed modern warfare by enhancing surveillance, reconnaissance, precision attacks, and swarm operation at marginal cost. We've seen all that happen even during the recent, well, we saw that in Ukraine, we've seen that in US-Iran war. Non-state actors can now access technologies that previously available only to state militaries. Technology will lower barriers to entry, enabling smaller actors to create strategic level disruptions. This will create a battlefield where small groups can achieve disproportionate effects through commercial drones, autonomous navigation, and AI-assisted targeting. You all know internet has become a major recruitment platform which can create social media outreach, online religious content, video platform, and messaging application. Technology also enables now the extremist organization to recruit globally rather than locally, giving advantage of anonymity, rapid dissemination, global reach, and reduced operations risk. We'll have to take cognizance of psychological and cognitive warfare. Modern conflicts will increasingly target disinformation, propaganda, emotional manipulation, and fake news campaigns. Therefore, winning future wars may depend as much on shaping perceptions as on battlefield success, as perception can lower enemy morale, create political instability, generate social divisions, and influence decision making. Friends, this book describes future warfare paradigm where jihadist technology, cyber capabilities, artificial intelligence, drones, and information warfare converge into a single strategic framework rather than solely relying on the conventional military power. Hybrid warfare will become more prominent. Technology will amplify effectiveness of ideological movements. Cyber warfare will be major battlefield. AI information operations will shape public perceptions. Drones and autonomous systems will increase the capability of smaller actors. Future conflicts will also occur simultaneously in physical, digital, and cognitive domains. General Chauhan has rightly made some excellent recommendations to counter the Jihad-Tech environment, such as ensuring that cyber warfare efforts are proactive and not restricted defensive and reactive measures. Cyber intrusion is not an offense, and as such, it should be considered as an opportunity and suitably exploited. We have been very defensive on this aspect. Formulating effective countermeasures by meticulously monitoring and analyzing psychological tactics used in digital propaganda and sociological factors for this purpose. We definitely need to go very, very deep into analyzing all this. To blunt Pakistan design, there is need for India to fuse cognitive defense with cyber resilience and offensive deterrence. Regional security in South Asia will face increasingly complex challenges from now on. I'm sure this book will inspire young leaders in the armed forces to think critically, adapt to emerging challenges, and prepare for changing character of conflicts. Since the text of the book is so loose and avoids using very complex military jargon, this book will definitely make interesting reading for those not familiar with matters military. As this book offers strategic insights and valuable lessons for the future warfare, it's a must read by those interested to know the shape of things to come. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
May I ask Mr. Ajay Singh to make his presentation, please?
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir, for the honor of inviting me here in such a distinguished audience and for such a special occasion. You know, I know General Chauhan for a very long time. He's laughing, he knows the stories. Right from the time they got married, I've seen him evolve in his career, the places he's risen to. And more than that, after he hung up his uniform, where he began his forays into writing. So if I may share, he had shared the draft of his first book with me. And when I gave him spoke to it, the way his style has evolved over the past 4 or 5 years, and all of you who have read the book, you will realize what strikes you is not the content, which is so powerful, but it is the words that drag you into the content, grab you into a very strong concept, and tell you a solution and a situation which all military thinkers should be aware of. And like you brought in a really, really lavish introduction. Yes, I've written a few books. So I look at this book through the prism of a writer's eyes. And it is a language, it's the beauty of the language, sir, I must confess, that has hit me harder than the content itself and the structure of the book. It begins off with the map, with the geography of, all history depends on geography, or the geography of Pakistan, with a very beautiful headline, hostage to the map. And if I remember, the opening line goes something like this: I have spent a lifetime studying Pakistan without ever living inside it. My career has placed me not inside cities, but on the line of control. I have not lived on its edges, not in its bazaars, not in its drawing room, but in the cold grammar of military maps. That's the opening paragraph, and it hooked me straight away. After that, how beautifully he described how the geography, I love the logic, how the geography of Pakistan has shaped its insecurities, which led to its tortuous history. The flow of its history, right from the first coup of Ayub Khan, right on to Pervez Musharraf, how Zia-ul-Haq inculcated Islamic fundamentalism, which then became a way of life within the army and the armed forces and the nation as such. And also how the army fed upon the insecurities of the nation to gradually establish its hold. You put it across very beautifully, sir. The title, the headline is The Captured Republic. We are all familiar with the words. Nations have an army, the army has a nation. But he describes it as it is the birth in the history, it is the birth of an artificial nation through political surgery. And the military captured that republic. They said the military did not inherit the nation's fears. It refined it, codified it, and ultimately weaponized it. And that, gentlemen, is the situation where we are now. By now you're hooked, which now takes us to what all is happening. How the military they realized the potency of the jihadi movement and how they used it. Again, the flow of history, Afghanistan, the unemployed freedom, the Mujahideen, how they were funneled into it, how the ISI came into the picture. These are factual events. The writing has taken you into the visualization of them. But it is his personal experiences which are woven into them, which suddenly give it a richer tapestry. He talks about his different careers, his different stages. In his battalion, as a company commander, in the line of control, as right up to the day that GOC. And I remember there are a few lines in which he describes bewilderment at the tactics utilized by the terrorists, in which he says, we laid a perfect ambush and they countered in a perfect manner. It could not have been done by untrained jihadis. And when they go into the bunker, they find maps, notebooks with proper military formatting of writing. Actions to be taken place. And that is when the realization dawns that it is not these rags and sandals terrorists you're fighting, but people who have been trained and have got their handlers across the border. Handlers who can never be identified. The role of the ISI and how they managed to utilize this totally unethical but very potent weapon has come out so beautifully out here. And then, yes, we've seen terrorism, but till the 90s it happened. The evolving of the jihadi techno complex. The manner in which they realize that media and perception management is as much a part of a terrorist act, or rather the impact of a terrorist act, than the act itself. The manner in which cyber capabilities have been created. And then evolving even further into the use of drones. I will not go to, of course, describe it to you, but gentlemen, that was the chapter in which you actually start thinking, because you relate to the events happening today. The Pakistani use of low-cost drones is increasing, and you have to only look at the manner in which Ukraine has tied down a power 8 times its size by inflicting so much damage by low-cost drones. They destroyed a refinery in Moscow. The Houthis destroyed a 3 billion refinery in Saudi Arabia. An act which virtually got them out of the war. This is a latent and not latent, it is an active and a potent fear, ladies and gentlemen. And sir, you are bringing it out in the manner in which it can pose a threat in the future is something all military thinkers should read, and it should keep them awake at nights. No, sir? He is a boss, sir. We cannot counter him at all.
We reach the stage when nothing keeps
And what I'm trying to make out, say, there's certain aspects to the book. There's certain, which you have to read and savor. But the flow and the structure, the manner in which the China hand has come in, how they have got such a role in weakening us at the cost, at a low cost, at the proxy. How Operation Sindoor has made a difference because we won everything less the narrative, the most important thing. And now they have become victims of their narrative in which they believe they have won, they can stave off a larger power. So, can they do it again? And ladies and gentlemen, like I say, you quoted Christian Fair, Pakistan has mastered the art of losing on the battlefield while claiming victory in the narrative. So now with the narrative in their hands, the next thing, sir, which is going to keep thinkers awake at night is, will they plan another strike? Will they be emboldened by their newfound friendship with USA, by their present diplomatic position as on the table of peace, to try their hand at one strike? And then what is our response? The response, as he so beautifully brought out, is counter it in the same coin, using the same technologies, the same narratives, the same form of information warfare, preemption. But sir, I really must compliment you on the fact how you have woven the jihadi network and the fears of the technological opportunities which are actually waiting to be picked up at the shelf for them, and the kind of drastic threat that can be posed. It has been a true pleasure reading your book, sir, and I'm sure each one of you would enjoy it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. I give the floor to Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan to present his book. And I must say and compliment the publisher who already told me that he was a very good author. He didn't trouble them.
Firstly, good evening to all of you. It's such a pleasure to see all of you. Such a pleasure to see my regiment here, to people I owe my career to. Such a pleasure to see old friends. And I know that at 6 in the evening in Delhi, how difficult it is to get here. Braving the heat, braving the traffic, I'm eternally grateful, absolutely grateful that you have taken this time to come here. I must also thank Dr. Wael Awad, the president of the Foreign Correspondents Club of South Asia, for hosting this event. He was more than forthcoming and needed no persuasion, whether it is because of my friend Agnostus or the quality of my book. And I also thank my publishers for having convinced him to hold it. It means a lot to me. Both Ashish, both the brothers, thank you very much. I must actually confess that when I was thinking of who to ask to speak, I thought of Major Dalbir from my regiment, my father's close younger colleague, someone who's been a part of our life since I was probably born. So thank you, Dalbir sir, for being a part of us. And the second person I thought for a long time, and then I said, Ajay is a person who himself has been such a distinguished author. And by asking him to speak about it, I was taking a great risk. What if he didn't like it? But then, after consultation with my wife, who told me, whose friend actually Ajay is a classmate, she said, "Look, Ajay is a great guy." So thank you, Ajay, for your kind words.
Honor, sir.
Very,
Thank
very,
you.
very nice of you. It is both an honor and a privilege to be here to discuss my book. But before I speak about my book, because both Major Dalbir and Ajay have spoken so much about it, I must confess that I did not write this book sitting in a library. I did not do the research that is done in a library. I wrote it from at least the first three chapters, wrote it from memories accumulated over almost 4 decades of being in counterinsurgency, counterterrorism, observing both as a young company commander, as a staff officer, as the BM of a brigade, as a commanding officer, as a brigade commander, and at each level, and finally as a GOC, at each level, I would find myself either in the Northeast or in Kashmir. Comparing the two insurgencies, one insurgency, the other terrorism, see how the metamorphing of this terrorism moved from the JKLF in 1989. I was there in 1993, and how it moved to the Hizbul Mujahideen and the various other groups that came in during the Afghan campaign of the Americans. So this book has been written as a collective memory. And therefore, I decided that I would write it as a soldier. I would not write it as an academician. And I have taken liberties with the fact that, look, wherever I could, I put in a personal anecdote so that it would, to my mind, make you all understand how important this subject is to me. There are memories in my mind, as Ajay has quoted, of young soldiers patrolling the forests of Manipur, climbing the mountains of Doda, Kishtwar, of 2nd 11 Gurkhas, of which General Vijay was a CO before I was. Standing guard in Siachen, I was there in 1984, May 84, as a young ski trooper. At each point, they have done whatever the nation has wanted them to do. So this book is shaped not merely by research, but by experience. And it is extremely important to me because when I wrote the book on Nepal, it was based on my experiences as a DA in Nepal and, of course, my love for the Gurkha soldiers. But this had a professional difference here. It came out of many sittings with so many of my colleagues who are here. So this story is as much yours, sir, as much my soldiers as it is my story. I only put it into words. I've often said that soldiers are privileged. Few professions allow one to witness history unfolding from so close a distance. During my service, I saw the changing face of this conflict which I've written about. From an insurgency in the Northeast to the terrorism in J&K, from conventional military preparedness to proxy warfare. And finally, now, the emergence of technologies that are redefining our very nature of war. General Rakesh, my old boss, who often looks cross, but but has often talked about this. I was his divisional commander. That how the concept of warfare changes and how the character of war is changing and how this change is going to define what we do tomorrow morning. When I was a young company commander, I was in the hills of Ukhrul in Manipur district in Manipur in 1989. Insurgency was fought very differently. The insurgents depended upon couriers, jungle sanctuaries, local support networks, and personal contact. And our information would also come through the same process. Trusted villagers who risked their own lives to help us. And as Major Dalbir spoke of his operations in the Northeast, trying to capture Laldenga. But today, it's an absolutely different operation because at that time, technology really played no role. It was our physical capabilities of long days of walking through. And I know Vijay sir was in Sri Lanka too, in a very difficult operation. So we've seen that part of war too. And we've seen what situations, how they metamorphed separately. Success depended at that time upon leadership, courage, local knowledge, and above all, trust. But years later, I found in Kashmir that the battlefield had already begun to change. And the terrorist was carrying a rifle. But as Ajay said, behind him stood a sophisticated ecosystem, which we failed to recognize in the beginning. Recruitment, propaganda, financing, indoctrination, cross border uh, infiltration, and international support has become as important as the weapon that he carried. Every encounter, and we've done maybe thousands, had an information dimension. Every incident narrated a certain set of narratives. The battle was no longer confined to the mountains or the villages. It had begun extending into our homes, on the television screens. So when I was made the director media post the Kargil war, I was commanding my unit and I came to Delhi. I realized how important it was at that time to counter this narrative. And sometimes the frustration of the fact that our senior military leaders would simply not understand that this was as important, the narrative war, as as actually doing something. So I have Neeraj Mahajan here. Neeraj, where are you? Yes, there he is. He's done a lot of work for us. I have another set of few journalists here who also worked with me when I was as a director media to help spread the fact that Pakistan was doing all this, because the Americans, who have always decided how our world thinks, would simply not believe us. So it took a long time trying to change this narrative. And that's why it was important that I would write something about this narrative. It was during these years that I realized something fundamental, which you all also must understand. Wars never remain static. Every generation believes, and Gautam, I'm sure you do too, that you understand warfare until warfare changes again. And it will keep changing, it will keep metamorphing, it will keep changing its character with the technology that is available. So throughout my career of almost 4 decades, I kept asking myself one simple question. If the terrorists had adapted so effectively using the technologies available, what would happen when they gained access to artificial intelligence? And when Ashish reached out to me and asked me to write a book, this was in my mind. How do I bring in artificial intelligence into my experiences and tell the army of which I've been a part and my countrymen that once terrorists have access to artificial intelligence, it'll be a difficult situation to do. And this book is actually, my thinking about how it's going to happen. What if they have autonomous drones? What if they have encrypted communication? What if they have cyber capabilities? And what if they have digital finance? All of it they actually have today. So how do you stop them? The answer was fascinating and deeply concerning, as I'm certain it must be concerning to you. And we are witnessing this transformation. And unless we are clear about how this transformation is going to affect us, because life is not going to be the same. He is hell-bent on creating problems for you. And this artificial intelligence is changing decision making. And commercial drones, very cheap drones, can be converted into weapons. Deep fakes can distort truth. Today, when we look at X, or we can look at so many forwards by in WhatsApp, it is the deep fakes that when we are spreading, we say, how can this happen? How can he say this? There was one about the CDS having said something, and people were actually asking, can he be saying this? Till somebody said, look, he's not say this. But yet these deep fakes are so convincing that it is amazing what artificial intelligence can do. Cyber attacks can cripple infrastructure. We are aware of that. Cyber currencies can move money anywhere. Social media has become possibly the most important and powerful instrument of influence ever created. You don't need it now to be screened on televisions. You have WhatsApp on your mobiles. You don't need a weapon. You just need a smartphone. The barriers to entry. And my young friend asked me about what are we doing to prevent Pakistanis from coming. And I told him, human innovation can never be stopped by a fence. So the barriers to entry to the enemy have collapsed. Power has been democratized. Unfortunately, no one has the ability to inflict harm. This has an ability to inflict harm. This convergence is what I'm talking about, the convergence of extremist ideology with emerging technology is what I describe as the Jihad-Tech complex. I would request you all to read it. Thank you so much once again for having come here, for patiently listening to us. And I'm extremely grateful to everybody.
Thank you, Shokin Johan. Just a point I would like to make here is you've written a beautiful book, it's seminal work, very academic, scholarly work you've done, and you've had two releases. And if there were a couple of points or suggestions they would like to give to the government, okay, to what kind of are we looking for? A systemic integration when it comes to cyber warfare? Are you looking at cyber warfare as part of a policy, or should it be part of a command domain? I mean, I mean, just two, 3 points which will really answer our problems, because Pakistan will remain for what it is. ISI has virtually institutionalized everything, and all their outfits are absolutely lubricated and functioning fearlessly and wonderfully, and they continue to do that one after the other. So, if there are 2, 3 concrete points you think where one could take up with the government based on the outcomes of these releases? Maybe even General Rakesh Sharma could add, because
Rakesh
his
sir,
past experience and wisdom.
yeah, Rakesh sir would be ideal to answer this. But all I can say, sir, is that what the first thing I would say is read my book. I put in a lot of effort. And it also in the last chapter, I've said what might happen ahead. Right? I'm sure some of you will disagree with me. I would welcome a discussion, whether on WhatsApp or whether on a telephone, that look, I disagree with you. But that means you've read it. And that gives me a lot of happiness that somebody is reading my book. Because as somebody said here, you don't write for yourself. Yes, there you are. You don't write for yourself, you write for somebody else. Because I have reached a point at which I don't want to look at the book. Must have read it hundreds of times. But I would like you all to read it. So the first thing would be, please read it. Secondly, do not feel that warfare is static, sir. It's not going to happen. But at the same time, do not feel that warfare has changed so much that you need to get rid of the army or the navy or the air force. Just because drones are there doesn't mean the air force is you don't need it. Just because drones are there, it doesn't mean you don't need the infantry. The Russian-Ukraine war has shown us very, very clearly that while everyone has missiles, while everyone has artificial intelligence, while you have cyber technology, you still have to have troops on the ground to win the battle. And those troops are something that they have to be trained. So it's a combination of everything. And the third issue, Dalbir sir, is that and we know that all our borders are borders that are contested. Whether it is with the Chinese, with Tibet and China, that the line of actual control, whether it is the line of control with Pakistan, they're all contested borders. Even in Myanmar, you have not the country contesting it, but you have insurgents contesting it. So please keep this in mind before you write articles on how you feel the army should be downsized. there's sometimes I feel that people simply don't understand that missiles might be great for a small 4-day operation like Sindoor, but you have to prepare to fight a longer war. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open the floor for question and answer. Please raise your hand, introduce yourself, and wait for the mic to come to you. Yes, please. Yeah, wait for the mic, please.
It on? Hello? Hello? It's not working.
You can speak, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm Shumi Khan from Bangladesh, from Dhaka. I'm a crime reporter, investigative reporter. I'm working with Indo-Asian News Service, Dhaka correspondent, IANS correspondent, Dhaka from 2020. I'm really feel myself privileged that here I must salute you. We Bangladeshi people are really grateful to India and Indian Army when we got this liberation 1971. My father was a tortured freedom fighter, brutally tortured. That's why I feel that. I have 2 books in Bengali on militancy, 2018 and 2020. And I didn't know about this program today. I missed it, but fortunately I came here for my meeting with my secretary, and then I came to know that this is here. I'm so lucky. Anyways, I want to know, because as a reporter, I came to know from 1993, I'm a reporter, working journalist, and I interviewed top militant leaders who blast here bomb, and also who are the security 300 security of Osama bin Laden. We came to know who confessed themselves in Bangladesh. I interviewed them also. My question is here. After I didn't read it, I wish to read it. Also, I wish to publish your book in Bengali. Also, my books in English. Anyways, my wish. I don't know I will be able or not. As you said this, sir, it is so true that when 1993, technology was not advanced, and you came to know from the general people, villagers, as a reporter, as we came to know from the victims, bomb victims, Hizbut Tahrir, Allah Dal, ABT, Ansarullah Bangla team. When they came here, they were assigned by ISI, GMB, Lashkar-e Taiba. I interviewed some of their top militants. That's why we came to know.
Sorry, can you give
So
your question, please?
I just want to know. That's why my question is that in present, as you said, that cyber attack and others happen. So are you, Indian Army, as we are in trouble, our Bangladesh also in trouble, your border also in India, Bangladesh border also, they are attacking. Also, Lashkar-e Taiba threatened this. That's why my question is that, only one question. In present, after sacrifice of, after life threat of huge of your military, do you feel secure than 1993 or now 2026 as your technology, as your empowered army? And how it is empowered, how it is safe? Just as a reporter, it is my question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for asking this question. As soldiers studying the future battlefield, we are clear that we will be prepared to fight that. So whatever I've written is also what is discussed in our armies, and we are preparing to fight the war of the future. So we are secure, and I'm hoping that my book will help us be more secure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, please. Give that.
I am Manish Dogra from Thanthi TV. I am from advertising sales, but I have bit interest in defense. As you are from the defense forces, I just want to know only one thing, or differentiate into two parts. Nowadays, there are Agniveer. Suppose their RR operation is conducting in J&K. Their officer is on permanent roles, but these Agniveers are only for four years. 25% maybe will permanent and rest they will go to the homes. So how do you think that on counter-insurgency of terrorism in J&K, that would impact on the quality of operations? Earlier, before 2000 and after that. Thank you.
Thank you for asking me this question. I answered it in a way with my friend here. What is clear is that the first rotation of Agniveer is taking place now, another couple of months. So the impact we will only see when we study it, right? And knowing the Indian Army, if there are any discrepancies or problems that we face, we will rectify it, right? It's an experiment. We're going through with it. We're seeing it. We're training people. We're taking in more soldiers. But the idea is to also study how it affects us. And I'm certain we will be able to convey to the government once we are clear what is happening as to how to change this. Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Congratulations, Shokin. What a great pleasure. Two questions. One is that in last 5 years, we can't pick up any terrorist communication because now terrorists use sets and cell phones. We don't have a SIM card.
Absolutely.
And all communication is either terrestrial or from towers which are being beaming across from the other side. So most terrorist operations that we did earlier were dependent on this information being fed to us as to where the radio sets is opening, and we used to react to it. Now, last 5 years, including last year's Pahalgam, etc., we can't pick up any terrorist communication. Can't India, which now boasts of thinking about 6G, 5G, and Geo and all that, can't we find in India ways and via medias to contest this? Otherwise, we would be, in times to come, fighting uphill task without knowing where the terrorists are and what communication systems are they using. Today's communication system, we can't pick it up. It's a very, very, very dramatic shift that has happened in 4 or 5 years. That's the first one, sir. And the second issue is that we had a Red Fort blast 8-9 months ago, not very far from here. The ammonium nitrate thing. The amount of ammonium nitrate found was worth another 30 bombs.
Yeah.
One bomb took off in Red Fort, but they had ammonium nitrate for 30 bombs lying, which was found by the NIA later. And the people who were indoctrinated, and you are an ustad in communication systems, strategic communications, were all very well-bred people, the doctors, very well-read. They are not run-of-the-mill people on the ground. But the fact of the matter is that they were indoctrinated using dark web by all the whole lot of radical literature that's been pumped across from on Telegram or on every known surreptitious sites, which we may or may not be able to catch up. And the cryptography has gone miles ahead. And we don't even know how many sleeper cells or like that doctors exist also. Pata hi nahi jab tak action nahi hoga. Would you care to say how do we address this changing trends of the technology part of jihad which you were referring to?
Thank you, sir. I'll two very, very difficult questions, but the answer is clear, sir. That technology by itself is a huge game changer for us. I remember as a young colonel, they used to use radio sets, and we would get the location, and we would go and launch operations against them. Subsequently, they started using satellite phones where we could not get them, sir. Then, of course, came the era of the mobile phones. And we had those off-the-air mobile devices which could pick up mobile phones. And it was our ability to, get the hold of them. And a lot of information would come from there. We're now in a situation where they're not using SIMs, right? So how do we get them? At the present moment, in the only way is through a saturation of the place where we are operating, using drones with surveillance devices. You you have the ability today to do what was earlier known as a combat air patrol. Sir, I wrote about it yesterday, day before. Uh, Everywhere you are, you have to use these combat air patrols of drones. You have to have cameras on all the time. You have to have them visible. And this is one question actually. I learned this lesson in Israel when I had gone in 2011, sir, where they were keeping a watch on Gaza and how they use their surveillance devices in Gaza. I was with the divisional commander, Gaza divisional commander, learning from him. And it was amazing how they had sensors to pick up everything. So every movement was picked up inside Gaza. That's something we'll have to do. We'll have to have more sensors, we'll have to have more capability. But the thing is that you can have any kind of technology, but if the man behind it is not trained to pick it up and does not have the decision making power to launch as he finds it, it'll be a problem. So there's much to learn. This is an important aspect. As far as everything else is concerned, of course we are playing catch, sir. We'll always be playing catch with these with the terrorists. We'll always be trying to find that we are behind them. But I've written about this precisely, that you don't need to cross the border anymore. That you can be, become a terrorist without anyone knowing because you've gone through various literature. So counter propaganda capabilities of our government has to come through, not through ham-handed efforts, but through sophisticated narrative programs. And those narrative programs, I'm not sure are being done, because since we all are in many groups, I find they're just ham-handed. They're not sophisticated, sir, and they're focused on a very small group of our leadership. It should be a larger part of our country, knowing the truth, immediately countering it. So these are important aspects, sir.
Yes, please. Yeah. Yeah.
So there was a time when the wars were short duration wars. The Bangladesh war lasted a couple of days,
No, 17 days.
17 days. The Indo-Pak Kargil war lasted about 60 days. The Falkland War was also limited war. Why do you think modern wars like Ukraine-Russia war are stretching beyond a certain limit? That's my first question. I'll come to the second later. But that's my first question. Why are we having these long drawn out conflicts?
Ajay, I think you have covered this.
Thank you. Very, very, very interesting. Yeah. They say wars are long run. One of the reasons is because the wars have been entered into without a clear end state in mind. We fought Op Sindoor 4 days, 87 hours, 56 minutes to be exact. I would say a lesson in conflict, Operation Sindoor's greatest lesson was of conflict termination. That was a success. Why had the Russia-Ukraine war gone on so long? The reason that deeper than just actual conflict, it has been orchestrated by the West to continue the fight till the last Ukrainian. It will continue. It would have finished in 13 days flat when the Russians are approaching Kiev. It continued. The recent US-Israel-Iran war has gone on for so long because they underestimated the Iranian capability to resist.
So
Wait a minute. The Israeli operation has gone so long because the military goals are nebulous and the political goals are to extend the war. So, notwithstanding that, sir, one thing you brought out in the dangers
From the safety razor to penicillin, radars, lot many inventions took place because war needed to be fought and won. You discovered things to fight and win wars. What more could we expect in future, sir?
Okay, we'll take
It will give you a lot of
one line.
yeah.
Not just inventions, economies have been built on wars.
Yes, sir.
That is why the world's leading nations, I refer to the USA, of course, and the Western economies will perpetuate wars.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take two questions only, please. One and second question. That's it. And then we can meet. You take the mic, please.
Sir, Sharma sir, Jain sir. Sir, your question how the terrorist communication is not happening, SIM card is not there. I want to draw attention on artificial intelligence. What Israeli Defense Forces has done, they have created 3 software. One is called Lavender. I don't know how many people know about it. Second is called Gospel. And third is called Where is Daddy? So you don't require to tap the communication. What Lavender does, it identifies the entire structures on the Mother Earth, which is school, which is hospital, which is military target, number 1. What the Gospel does, it identifies using the artificial intelligence face recognition, who is the terrorist on the Mother Earth. And now comes the where is Daddy? Daddy is a terrorist. So when a daddy enters any building, they find out what is the collateral will take place if they can hit him. He is going into a school or a hospital or in a place where he can hit that target. So even if you don't monitor the communication using the satellite and using this intelligence AI kind of a thing, still you can identify whom to kill. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm Ranjan Bakshi, and it's good to see so many officers from the 11 Gurkha Rifles. And General Shaukin Chauhan's father worked with my father in the 11 Gurkhas. You know, that was in 1948. See, my question is very simple. You said war is not static, and you'll always need the infantry on the ground. You have to put your troops on the ground. Now, what is the future of Gurkha regiments? And is the changed regime in Nepal going to facilitate future recruitment of Gurkhas in the Indian Army?
Thank you for coming. Extremely nice of you. You accepted my invitation, and I'm so happy to see those photographs on the Facebook. Your father turning 100. Extremely proud of his your legacy and your association with our regiment. As far as the Gurkha Rifles is concerned, we will get through. We have a lot of soldiers, Indian origin Gurkha Rifles also, Gurkha soldiers with us. We are looking at various models how to engage with Nepal. And I hope we do get back to not exactly status quo, but somewhere near status quo, where we can engage with another country like Nepal and be able to run our systems in the manner we used to. But if we as Indians are subject to the kind of radicalism that there is in India, we have to keep in mind that I'm sure even Nepal would be going through the same process of radicalism. We would have to be much more careful when we recruit soldiers, not just for their capability or their strength, but also for their whether they're radicalized or not. So these are issues with which modern day warfare is changing, and we have to be much more careful.
So I'll ask, there are two small questions from our
My
member of the committee.
My name is P.M. Narayanan, and I work for German public broadcaster called ARD. I have two small questions. One is about the You know, there was global alliance like NATO and other stuffs in the Europe, and Europe is rearming very fastly now. How is it going to have an impact on the overall security equilibrium in the world? That is number one. Number two is very strict, like we have been buying arms to fight wars. Now India is started producing. And do you think that we are on the right trajectory that some point of time India will be self-sufficient in terms of arms and ammunition? Thank you.
I just have one small question, sir. Uh, if there are three things in information warfare which India needs to develop right away, what are those three things?
Okay, so we'll start with you. Firstly, we need an authority that can take decisions. That means the attacks happened at 4:45, at 4:15 in the morning. By 4:45, Pakistan had already started airing their narrative across the air on how India had attacked a small country, how they created this Kashmir issue, how human rights became. The fact that we were hitting terrorists for a terrorist attack on our nation was not aired by us. So, firstly, the authority. That authority has to be capable of taking immediate decisions and having prepared itself to launch our own narrative immediately. So that's the first issue. Second is we need to train all you guys to understand this narrative part so that you are able to counter it without coming back to us, because you also know the truth from the film. Thirdly, if you noticed that in the narrative part of this war, you had much of the Islamic world, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Al Jazeera, China, airing and giving 6 to 8 hours of time to Pakistan in 24 hours. Whereas for India, got 20 minutes, 30 minutes. The world's think tanks had a Pakistan embedded general or senior official there who was giving Pakistan's point of view. Where were the Indians? Why weren't we giving our point of view? So clearly there is an issue that us, despite being an important country in the world, despite being a country which is the most populous in the world, despite being a large economic power, we still don't have the ability to change narratives. So we have to understand that. So these are these. And no more questions about your issue as far as Europe is concerned. History repeats itself. We had the First World War, you had the Treaty of Versailles, Germany rearmed very quickly and then had Second World War. Now it's been almost 80 odd years since the last war. There are differences within mankind, so I'm sure there'll be another war soon. Europe will rearm. Europe is also looking at enemies that it feels it has, whether Russia is their enemy or China is their enemy. And where do we stand in the story? God only knows at the present moment. But whatever it is, India has to be independent of technology. We must have our technologies. And what we are doing is the right thing, getting our people across. Yes.
I need to ask a small question, actually. Thank you. My question is I wanted to know, like Pakistan said it has been used for 30 to 40 years by the United States as a terrorist organization supporting the Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. I mean, they rented themselves to Afghanistan to do this. So it's a new phenomena. I mean, you didn't touch much on the using terrorism as a tool for achieving political objectives, which I want you to say this. And my little bit in the reading of the books also comes to my mind. For the first time, we can see in India, and I want your input on this, there is a political will and a military will. Both are converging on taking the decision immediately for taking the action. And Sindoor was one of it. Can you just put light on this, please?
Can I just add one question? Sir, when you are talking of these are all our challenges in fighting terrorism or creating a narrative. Don't you think that India being a democracy, this entire challenge is all the more formidable because here you have the politics has become so competitive. In case of Operation Sindoor, I think a quite significant section of your political class they bought the narrative that came from Pakistan rather than what was coming from here, and it is because of that competitive politics in a democracy. And secondly, when we are talking of fighting this terrorism, the fact remains that. You see every second day people going to the Supreme Court in the name of the fundamental right of expression and protecting their privacy. Here is a country where people cannot even tolerate the suspension of that signal thing for one day for ensuring the transparency of that NEET exam. And here, we talking of creating a consensus, you know, for tackling this sort of thing is all the more onerous. This is very easy to say the things, but I think now getting things done in India in highly competitive atmosphere like ours is actually the most important challenge. Your comment. Thank you.
It had nothing to do with techno jihad complex of my book. But the issue is that institutions have to be impartial and to be known as impartial. If our institutions become partial, then their story becomes fake. So I think we could have to go back to the drawing board. All our institutions dealing with media have to understand that their citizens need the truth. And only then will we take the truth to be the truth. So it's no point blaming our fellow citizens. It's a problem of democracies. There are different thoughts and ideas on this. As far as you're concerned, sir, the question you asked about Pakistan being used, Pakistan had decided very early in their, and I have traced it in my book, that it would be a proxy against India. So if they've allowed themselves to be used as proxies by China, by America, and they have economically, one segment of their decision shapers have gained tremendous financial capabilities by being used as proxies. So that's what I've written when Ajay quoted that the captured republic, is that that segment controls Pakistan and they are being used and they have allowed themselves to be used, and the people be damned. So that it continue. Wherever you don't care about the people, then this will continue.
What about the convergence of the political will and the military?
So that there is no doubt that we need this convergence, but the book is a testimony to the fact that this convergence needs to be understood, studied, and decided together. It's not just something on paper, ki convergence hai and ticked, but everyone has to understand what future war is going to be like and how we're going to face future challenges.
But
And
that's
it's a
the military
difficult
has
era.
to decide. That's the military has to decide, not the political.
No, military needs to be trained as well as the political, as well as the journalists, and as well as all of you need to realize what future war is and how we're going to face difficult situations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to conclude. I'm sorry, we leave the floor open.
I have
It's
a plane to catch.
He has to leave, and that's why we extended another 15, 20 minutes. I just wanted to do the vote of thanks on behalf of my friend PM Narayanan, who is escaping. I will be doing it. So I'm just saying that it is nice to have you, all of you with us here today. And I'm sure that you will have the book very interesting. We have the copy of the books outside with the constitutional rate is being given by Ashish. You can get the signature of the author before he leave. And this club is open for membership for Indian and foreigners. We are happy to have you as a member in our club. You can contribute. You can release your books here. You can come and have that chat with your friends. We wish you all the best, and I'm sure we will have another session with you one-to-one to to discuss further these are issues. These are very sticking issue because I belong to a country called Syria, which we are a victim of terrorism, and we have witnessed all the terrorist organization from all over the world. And I'm sure we'll have lots of to talk the future of South Asia stability and all. And I'm sure with your technology and know-how and the geopolitical changes, everybody will find this book very interesting. Thank you for being with us, all of you. Thank you, Dr. Dalbir. Thank you, Mr. J. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Awad.